I'm Gerald Bentley. This is Wrestling with Sales, and it's time to get hyped. We are joined by Dean Mojo Muthadi, the head of the Paragon Talent Group. You see him on TMZ Sports, one of the hype bros from the WWE. Mojo, man, thanks for joining us here.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me on today. I've been looking forward to this. This is going to be fun.
Yeah, and hey, I wanted to reach out to you because I started doing the podcast because I wanted to do something dealing with sales and get into sales training, and kind of in the spirit of the Talk is Jericho podcast, I realized as I get going, hey, I may as well just talk about stuff I like because my viewers will probably like stuff I like. And, pro wrestling, it's right there. It's in the name of the podcast. I got the dealership rescue belt here. We do the championship round at the end of every show. And I saw the Paragon Talent Group and realized that you were the co-founder of basically a sports agency for professional wrestlers, and just thought that was an amazing idea. What got you to start that?
The company kind of created itself, and there was just absolutely a tremendous need for this kind of work. Played in the NFL before WWE, and
Yeah.
all kinds of representation there, from the players union to agents and managers and everything in between. And you get to wrestling, and there's almost none of that. Very, very few agents or managers, and anyone that does exist is primarily, for contractual reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Not much marketing or anything like that going on. So I had a really nasty bout with COVID, and I knew my time with WWE was going to have to cease for a while, just because could barely breathe, let alone even think about competing.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was kind of looking for what I was going to do next, and had this idea in my back pocket for quite some time, and thought it was time to finally get this thing started. So I called one of my best friends, Steve K, and pitched him on this idea. And I had like kind of this whole pitch mapped out for him. I think I got like 12 seconds into it before he was like, dude, this is great, I'm in. And Steve, big wrestling guy, had some experience on the managerial side in the business, but
Okay.
also comes from the brand side of the business, which was the other component to what we were doing. So it was a great fit, the yin to my yang kind of thing, and the company just blew up from the start.
Yeah, and you can follow you guys on the social medias. If you look up Paragon Talent Group on Instagram, you guys have a heavy presence on LinkedIn. And, I think it just makes so much sense because when you look at other pro athletes, and I really believe it's time for professional wrestlers to be treated just like all the other pro athletes. The NFL, they have their players union, they have agents, they have IMG, which, we have one of the big IMG agents here where I'm at in Kansas City, the king of the quarterbacks. But, the wrestlers just haven't had that. They've pretty much been on their own. And I think with the birth of AEW, when that broke out, it kind of put competition back into pro wrestling on a big level in America. And since then, we've really seen a rebirth to where we're almost either at or above the level of interest from the Attitude Era, because now you have the WWE going with record attendance, with huge TV ratings. AEW is going to sell out Wembley Stadium. They just sold out an event in Toronto. Impact's going. I do a lot of stuff with Las Vegas wrestling. FSW and GCW just had a week's worth of shows in Las Vegas. I mean, it's everywhere now, and the opportunities are there. It's good that the wrestlers have a little bit of a voice and can get a little bit of a fair shake as they're going from, federation to federation.
Yeah, and I mean, I agree with you. It is one of the best times ever to be a professional wrestler right now. I mean, the birth of AEW was absolutely massive for the business. Having
Yeah.
another place to go where you can make a full-time salary and be on television and have a very, very competitive platform to perform. For a long time there, it was WWE as a one-stop shop, and it was either the indies trying to scratch together a living, or it was finding a way to get into WWE with almost nothing in between. So
Yeah.
AEW has made everyone escalate their game, and I think it's just been better for the industry not just for the wrestlers or for financially, but just for creative reasons as well. I mean, I think both brands are doing their best work in part because of the competition with the other.
Yeah, I mean, competition generally creates better results because you have to fight. You can't be complacent. You got to stay hyped up.
That's right, buddy.
Yeah, and you're also, I mean, people see you on TMZ Sports as well. So I mean, you're right there. You're staying in the public eye. So how are you managing the time between the TMZ Sports, working with Paragon Talent Group?
Oh man, it's been very busy. It's nonstop from the second I wake up to the second I go to bed. I wake up several times a night, 2 a.m., 4 a.m., whenever I actually get to sleep, just to check the phone because, we're doing business with, Asia and the Middle East and Europe and obviously completely different time zones here. So there's always work to be done at any point. And now with Paragon, since what, January 1st of 2022, we've done deals for over 150 wrestlers now. So, and it's been me and Steve, and we've been able to kind of partner up with a couple of other, just awesome people. Mac Brittenbaker, who connected us, has been
Yeah.
awesome. A guy that was my boss at WWE. So it's really been cool to work with him on the outside. But yeah, I mean, I've got TMZ, which has been one of the most fun things I've ever done. I zoom in from wherever I am and I get to talk about sports, but also sports lifestyle topics, which is tremendous. And the TMZ family has just, welcomed me with open arms, and I really, really love working with them. So that's a situation you'll see me do for a while. But I've been taking acting classes. I've been trying
Yeah.
to find ways to better myself during this time period. I've been slowly getting back into the ring to shake off some rust because I've been saying this is the year I got to take a match, man. I've been out of it. I wrestled my last match 3 years ago for WWE. Since then, I did one charity show, an event we put on called Dream Mania for the Down Syndrome Foundation.
Okay.
But that's been it. So no formal wrestling show. So the itch needs to be scratched, and this is the year to get it done for
Well,
sure.
you're still right there in the prime wrestling age because I mean, you look at some of the top pro wrestlers in the world. They're talking about Cody Rhodes being a younger wrestler. He's getting ready to turn 38. I think Kenny Omega's 37. Roman's in his late 30s. So you're right there. You got a few years to go.
Hey man, with wrestling, you're as young as you feel because obviously we got guys in their 50s that are still wrestling all the time. I mean, even guys older on the independents. So,
Yeah.
I mean, business you go until your body says you can't anymore, and then even then you just take a few years off and then come back later.
I was amazed seeing Billy Gunn, Daddy Ass, getting in the ring at 59 last week. And I mean, he looks amazing. It's incredible.
I don't know. He might look better now than he ever has. I feel like that dude is in incredible shape. I mean, he looks like he could go another 20 years, no problem.
Yeah. And, just so people if may not know, I mean, you have an MBA and you were, I believe, an academic All-American. So there's some backing to this. You come at it from a couple of sides. You have the business background and also had time in the NFL and in pro wrestling. So you can really kind of bridge the gap and help the wrestlers that are the sports entertainers that are with the Paragon Talent Group just kind of navigate the field because you've seen it from all aspects.
That's why I thought I'd be a good guy for the job, having the business degrees and then, working on, Wall Street for Morgan Stanley for ever since I was an 11-year-old kid, interning for my aunt. I always
Okay.
kind of business background, but then kind of seeing how operations were in football, in college, in the NFL with representation and the things that those guys are able to produce outside of the gridiron. And then, yeah, having a 10-year run as a wrestler, knowing exactly what the talent are going through. And honestly, that's been maybe the most pivotal part here is just being able to relate to all the wrestlers and know what they're going through and what they're looking for and really how to package it all together to brand, to sell to third party vendors, for brand deals and sponsorships and all of these things. And it's been kind of funny because within our company for Paragon, I don't really do anything with wrestling. Steve, as the
Huh.
non-wrestler, handles all the wrestling side. He handles the booking engagements and the signings and the meet and greet.
Okay.
And me as the guy that was the athlete, I'm the one that handles the third party deals, the outside brand deals and sponsorships and things like that, which of course is where he came from. So I
That
don't know.
is weird.
We've figured out how to
Flip.
have voice for the other arena here, and it's actually been way more fun for us to switch it up here a little bit.
Yeah. Well, with the background, it has to be fun to be able to do something that you've been able to be on the inside and say, oh man, somebody should do this. Somebody should do this. We should make this work. It's got to be a great sense of accomplishment to actually have the chance to do it. Because, I mean, heck, it's got to be a great time to reach out to companies now. All you have to do is go to a movie theater or turn on the TV. You're going to see The Rock. You're going to see John Cena. You're going to see Batista. Why not? Here's a Paragon Talent Group wrestler that's going to be making his comeback really soon. The Redeemer going to be returning to the TBS family of TV with AEW Collision, actually going to be on TNT June 17th. He's due to be back. We saw him walk into Tony Khan's office. Why not Miro?
Why not Miro is a really good question. I mean, that's a guy that just, the thing with wrestling is you play a character on television, and a lot of times you can be typecasted or pigeonholed into being this one thing and only this one thing. And I obviously can relate to that. I mean,
Sure.
it is kind of my life's mantra before, during, and after WWE, but there's a lot to me outside of just that energy. There's a lot to Miro outside of just being this guy who's an ass kicker, like Miro is hilarious. Miro is highly marketable.
Mm-hmm.
His background alone makes him a surefire slam dunk for so many brands out there. His following is massive. He's always been a great merch guy. I mean, he checks so many boxes, that brands wouldn't even know about if they just watched the television show and saw him doing this one thing. And that kind of goes for anybody. So that's kind of where we come in to have these conversations and make these brands see this from a completely different perspective, because 95% of the calls that we do, the brand's knowledge of wrestling is that they used to watch when it was either Hulk Hogan or Stone Cold or someone like that, and they haven't watched recently. They know what it is, but they don't know enough about it, and they certainly don't know just the reach and the scope of the business. And that is the most applicable thing here when you're trying to conduct business, is just educating the consumer as to what they're getting.
Sure. Now, as a dealer, you spend a lot of time buying cars at auction. If you're using Edge Pipeline to manage your purchases, then this is big news. Montway Auto Transport is partnered with Auction Edge to add a transportation option onto Edge Pipeline. Now dealers can manage their auction buys and book transportation with just one click right in the Edge Pipeline platform. As a nationwide leader in auto transport, Montway understands a dealer's need for speed and efficiency and can arrange single or multi-vehicle moves from auction to any lot in the country. With Montway's technology, dealers can gain full transit visibility and tracking after an order has been booked, making it much easier to manage inventory. Buy, ship, and track all in Edge Pipeline. Go to www.montway.com/WS to learn more.
What they're getting.
Sure. Now, the success of current television, that has to help, I'd imagine, because, I mean, the audiences are getting back up there. You have a, billion-dollar TV deal. WWE just merged with UFC. It's going to be TKO. That's going to be a massive entertainment company. And obviously AEW's continuing to push. New Japan making moves into the US. So I think any success, that rising tide lifting all the boats, it's going to help all the performers.
Yeah, absolutely. And wrestling, I guess it can be similar to other sports as well. If you know, you know. If you don't know, you don't know. If you watch wrestling at all, you can see how big the crowds are and the spectacles that all these shows are. And,
Sure.
with every wrestler being their own marketable brand that's not just domestic but international, I mean, it makes so much sense to work with one if you're aware of these things. So, we try to be the conduit for that. But yeah, there's just a lot of people that just don't know what these guys are capable of. So that's what we're doing. We're on these phones all day, every day. I think I average being on my cell phone 13 hours a day, my iPad 2 hours a day, 1 hour a day for my work laptop, and another hour on my other one. So it's like literally every waking moment of every day, there is a screen running at some point. Even if I'm in the gym or in the car, there's a phone call going or something.
It's always coming.
It's crazy.
Now, are companies reaching out? I mean, I would imagine this is the goal. Companies reaching out to you saying, "Hey, we want somebody like this." Have you turned that corner where you're getting the companies like a DraftKings reaching out saying, maybe here we want to be part of Renee Paquette's podcast. We want Renee to represent us because she does such a great job of setting the stage and creating the atmosphere. And another part of AEW television just recently added on and part of your group. Will the companies reach out and specifically ask for a performer or a talent, or is it something where you're trying to find the match with the brand to the talent?
For the wrestling side of things, yeah, the promotions will reach out all the time about our guys. For the brand side of things, it's mostly us going to them. Again, they're just not as familiar with what wrestlers are capable of and how big the audience is and just how passionate and intense they are. It's unbelievable. But again, unless you watch wrestling, you have no idea what that audience looks like. So most of it is us reaching out to them. But Renee's a good example. We will have inbounds for talent like that, especially the ones with over 1 million followers. Because again, if you don't know wrestling, what you do know is what follower counts look like and viewership looks like on
Sure.
and whatnot. Renee is an incredible talent, one of the most just multi-talented people that we work with. I mean, everything that she's done in wrestling, outside of wrestling. I actually got I got a funny story for you. So
Yeah.
I brought on Renee to interview for TMZ Sports one day, and my relationship with the show is that I co-host the show with a guy named Michael Babcock, who I guess just to put a label on it, he's essentially the play-by-play commentator, and I'm the color commentator. So
Sure.
up the topics and he talks about what exactly is going on and kind of fills us in on all the details here, and then he kicks it over to me as like the former athlete's opinion as to what's going on, and then we get into a discussion from there. Well, we had on Renee one day, and she is so good at what she does at being that host, that moderator, essentially that play-by-play commentator. I actually put her into Babcock's role for her to talk about the topic and what was going on. I think it was an MMA topic, actually, of all things. And she teed me up to do my job before we got into our discussion on the topic. But it was hilarious. It's the only time we've ever done that with any guest since I've been with them, at least. And it's just a testament to how good Renee is. She didn't even need any prep time. She had no idea what we were going to be talking about that day, but she's awesome. Massive following, just so personable. Now she's a mom and she's juggling all these things. I mean, my goodness, it has been incredible. And to your point about working with the DraftKings, who several of our talent have at this point, those relationships have gone so well. And DraftKings is a good example where initially we started out, we were like, hey, just book our guys on, a one-off, just a little teaser, a little trial run here. And just, if you're not happy with how it goes, no hard feelings. There's plenty of other people to talk to. And, we've had so many deals that led to annual relationships because of that, because not only do they love the engagement and the reach that the wrestlers have, but the promo ability. You got to remember, too, wrestlers, yes, everyone can cut a promo. Even the guys that you think never get the mic or not on TV, they have a job for a reason. It's because they're that good. And when you compare those people to athletes of other sports, it is a no-brainer decision. I mean,
As a dealer, you spend a lot of time buying cars at auction. If you're using Edge Pipeline to manage your purchases, then this is big news. Montway Auto Transport has partnered with Auction Edge to add a transportation option onto Edge Pipeline. Now dealers can manage their auction buys and book transportation with just one click right in the Edge Pipeline platform. As a nationwide leader in auto transport, Montway understands a dealer's need for speed and efficiency and can arrange single or multi-vehicle moves from auction to any lot in the country. With Montway's technology, dealers can gain full transit visibility and tracking after an order has been booked, making it much easier to manage inventory. Buy, ship, and track all in Edge Pipeline. Go to www.montway.com/WS to learn more.
Because they were good athletes. And, just because they're a Pro Bowler or, a Super Bowl winner, it doesn't mean that they're entertaining, that they can go out there and really entertain and reach their audience. All of our guys can. So it always serves for a perfect combination.
Yeah, it's true. It's a huge difference because you've seen the celebrity mail-in endorsements for local advertising for years, where you have, I'm John Smith, defensive tackle for the team, and I get my car from Hometown Ford. You
Yes.
should too. I mean, that does nothing.
It's
But
so bad.
you're not going to get that from a wrestler, because the wrestlers who are working in a promotion, like I said, even if they're not on TV, they started at Independence and they were practicing promos and practicing little match announcements and interviews, probably in a mirror or with their friends for years. They're just waiting to go. All you need to do is tell them, hey, here's the topic. You got 30 seconds, go.
And that's kind of one of our selling points when we're doing our meetings here. And I typically compare it to the NFL because that's where I came from, and I that sport better than obviously the NBA or MLS or anyone else. But when you're talking about football, how many people can name the starting offensive guard for the Seattle Seahawks? The offensive tackle for the San Francisco 49ers. Not many. There's only a handful of players in any league that are household names. Then you take all those guys that are the perennial Pro Bowlers. How many of those guys are entertaining? How many of them have an immediately identifiable persona or character, like a Rob Gronkowski? I always use that example, not only because he's a good friend, but because he is a marketable character.
Yeah.
And out of those guys, how many of them aren't making $10 to $50 million a season? Probably none, maybe enough to count on one hand. Whereas with wrestling, everyone is more affordable. They have immediately identifiable international personas that can market to a crowd, that can public speak. The fans know their taglines, their movesets, their colors, their wrestling history, yada, yada, yada. The list goes on.
Sure.
And they just deliver a better product. So it all kind of goes into the pitch. And once these brands are able to kind of break that down and hear that, and then see the results that we've been able to create, it usually ends up working out quite well in the end.
Yeah, and you have all those connections and the storylines, because you get the soap opera type feel of it too, that works in there. A couple other people that are part of the Paragon Talent Group. CJ Perry, Ms. Miro. I mean, she's a talent that I think is just waiting to get that big breakout, because there's fans. I've gone to multiple AEW events and people in the stands are saying, oh, she's coming out now. Here she comes. And doing nothing. She's got fans in an arena, thousands of people in an arena captivated to see her, to see what she's doing, because Miro referenced his God in his Redeemer promos, and people immediately assumed, oh, it's her. Well, she didn't even have to be there. She didn't have to do anything, and people are excited to see her.
Well, I mean, look, you said you're waiting for CJ to boom. The thing is you don't know where that's going to be. That could be in wrestling. That could be in Hollywood. That could be,
Acting, sure.
I mean, CJ's been in a Bruce Willis movie. She has many acting credits. She is in acting classes regularly. I mean, her social media following is one of the biggest in
Hmm.
anywhere. It's huge, and not only that, she understands the social media algorithms better than maybe anybody that I know. When we do deals for CJ, and we've done a bunch of them, we let CJ kind of control the cadence of the post and the timing and all of these things. And the brand might have some guidelines or requirements that we have to hit, but we always tell them, like, as far as creative and some of the specifics here, just let CJ
Let
do
her
her
go.
thing. We don't want to cap her. She understands this way better than we ever will. So just let her do it, and it's boomed because of it. We've had some
Yeah.
very satisfied brands that we've worked with because they've done deals with her that did 1 million views when they're used to only 5,000 at best, if not 1,000.
Well, and the great thing is, for coming from a company's perspective, that's all trackable.
Yeah.
It's not like it used to be when you used to do advertising. Back when I did morning drive radio, and you'd sell advertising, and they'd go, "Well, you see, you have to advertise because you need to build up your name recognition, and it's not really trackable. You just create that image, and then people will come in." Not the case now. Now everything's trackable. So I mean, if you're a company, you contract with Paragon Talent Group, you get CJ to do some social media influencer post for you, you know tomorrow the impact of it. It's great. I mean, from a company perspective, it's tremendous to be able to have actual measurable analytic advertising data.
Yeah, and that's one thing we do when we get to that point is we just sit down with the brand and break down exactly what they're trying to get to. And one thing we pride ourselves on is just brutal honesty. We are wide open, about everything when we're talking with the brand, just letting them know what this campaign will produce, managing expectations. I mean, we literally did a deal with one company who in the beginning thought one Instagram story would lead to 50,000 unique sales. It's like, all right,
No, it's a little bit much.
buddy, as much as I would love to take your money right now and give it to, some of our talent here, let's make sure you understand how this game works. I don't think a person on the planet could post one Instagram story and have it definitely yield 50,000 unique sales. Unless there was some sort of unique hook attached to it, but yeah, it's just kind of letting them know about what's trackable, what's not trackable, the impact you're going to have, not only it's just the social media post or this appearance, but it's the talent that you're working with and having their name tied to what you're working on. It's a legitimate, celebrity that can market what you're doing here, the value of having them maybe on your website and all these things, because not everything you can slap a promo code on.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's easy to track that, but having someone associated with your brand, being able to add their list when you're looking for investments for your next round of funding. All of these things. There's just so much value that our people can have, and we've sent our people into boardroom meetings and end of the year corporate retreats and some very very unique campaigns just to show a little star power and have a little fun, put the CEO
Hmm.
to a table or something fun like that. We get
That would be fun.
really creative with what we're doing here, and again, it just comes from having those conversations up front to see what the brand is trying to get out of this, and finding the best path to do that.
And it's a very, like you said, a very diverse group, and a lot of people that, even if the person doesn't know exactly who they are just at a glance, looking at the name on paper, when they see them, they know that it may be an irresistible force coming, because have a member of the bloodline family here, Lena Fanene, and you know she's there. She's part of the Paragon Talent Group too, and a very interesting person. I've had a chance to listen to a couple of interviews she's done. One of them with Renee on her show, The Sessions. And, you know, another great person to have on there to just express whatever message your company is trying to send.
Absolutely. Lena is one of the most perfect spokeswomen you could possibly ask for. One of my personal favorite people on the planet. Definitely my favorite person ever to film TikToks with and social media posts goofing around. We've
Yeah,
done a ton of those over the past couple of years, but man, she is awesome. Everyone that's ever worked with Lena has absolutely loved working with Lena. She is one that, we've done a ton of social media deals with. Obviously, she has an incredible following, but man, she is one we really, really try to push to get in front of somebody, to have a brand, or actually sit down, talk with her, meet their people, their employees, their customers. She is somebody that you want out there doing meet and greets and getting to know them. She is just incredibly intelligent and knowledgeable of any product she's talking to. She does the homework when she's going in to do a job, which is important. A lot of people will
sure.
show up, and especially athletes of other sports, they'll show up, not even know who they're filming or shooting with that day or meeting with, and they have no idea what they're talking about. Lena always comes prepared, and she's ready to go, and people love sitting there and talking with her and getting to know her. She's just so fun. She's been one of our clients that's produced the most amount of deals. She's been awesome. I love her to death.
Now, we only had a short period of time, but there's a lot more wrestlers, sports entertainers that are under the Paragon Talent Group banner. How many are you representing now? Just
Well,
ballpark.
yeah, since 2022, we've done deals for over 150 so far. Steve and I, we started this thing, and I think we were eyeballing start with around 10 to 20
Hmm.
clients. Really, we just wanted to focus in on a small group, not bite off more than we could chew, and kind of get our feet wet. But I think starting at 10 lasted about a week. I mean, business
Okay.
booming, and we were able to bring in a lot of work. I think last year, somewhere around 10 talent, we made them more money than they made in their best year with WWE, just by being able to capitalize on who they are in their NIL and going out
Yeah.
and third party deals, myself included for that list. But it was just, I think, a testament to what everybody can bring to the table. Not only these guys, but just the entire industry as a whole. They're just incredibly marketable and talented. It's not many people could handle being a pro wrestler, especially on a television show, getting a script 5 seconds before you walk through the curtain and, being expected to recite it perfectly. But
On
yeah,
live national TV in front of 20,000 people in the arena. Yeah.
yes, booing and cheering and throwing you off maybe the cadence or rhythm that you had
Hmm.
playing in your head, and improvising and all these things, time additions, time subtractions, and having to, react on the fly and just figure it out. Not a lot of people can handle that. Most people can't handle that. So it's a tough job. People sometimes overlook that aspect of it. But yeah, man, we've done deals for over 150. We just got to the point where we wanted to help as many people as we could. And if we have a deal that comes across that makes sense, for a talent in particular that we don't necessarily represent, luckily I wrestled with most of these people over the past
Yeah.
2 years, so I can just text them, call them, DM them, whatever it might be, and just kind of float an offer. Some people have exclusive representation that they work with, but most people, if they do have representation, it's not all encompassing. They have representation in certain categories, and others are wide open. Usually marketing, which is where we kind of specialize here. So it's been interesting.
Hey, kind of winding down, go to the championship round. So here you go, Mojo, the dealership rescue championship belt for you. Just a
I
couple of
love it.
quick questions in the champions round here.
All right.
What wrestling event are you looking the most forward to this year?
Oh, this whole year? Oh my
Coming
goodness.
up the rest of the year.
The rest of the year, it's June. Well, I mean, I gotta say, the next big event is AEW at Wembley, right? That's gonna be insane. I can't wait
I
to
would
see
say so,
what.
yeah.
Uh, the fact that, someone other than WWE has been able to sell that many tickets, not just domestic, but internationally, is just an incredible testament to them. And I got to say, one thing that I've loved about that event is how the wrestlers have come together to promote it. Everyone's gone the extra mile in interviews on social media to really try and push and drive that show and support it, and not just show up and collect a payday and focus on their individual match. It's focusing on the whole card, the whole brand, the whole team, and I've loved to see it.
How do you feel about the growth of professional wrestling on YouTube and just online channels? Because it's everywhere now. There's independent wrestling everywhere.
It's been great, man. It's another avenue for guys to get their name out there, to go out there and actually have your hard work rewarded. I mean, for such a long time, if you weren't with one of the bigs, your work went unnoticed, and you had to hope you wrestled long enough to try and get a call that led to 8 more calls before you could finally have that first tryout or audition. I mean, now you can just have one really good day, and that might get you an opportunity. I love that, and that's producing a lot of talent that probably we would have never been able to see. So it's been awesome. I think it's going to continue to grow. I think it's been awesome for the outside world to see those numbers, to see those
Yeah.
viewership numbers and the analytics behind it, and just be shocked and stunned at how massive the scope of wrestling is. It's been awesome for everybody.
And just one final one, since you're always hyped, what would be your best piece of advice to somebody working in sales to stay hyped through the day, even when they may be a little bit down, they may be a little bit frustrated, feel like, oh man, it's not going our way, we're not getting the customers in? How do you stay hyped throughout the day?
Well, hey man, if you want to be successful, you got no other choice. You have to stay hyped. I mean, that's how stay hyped started for me, knowing how much competition was out there, from always being the last recruited guy on the team, the walk on, the undrafted guy, the guy nobody wanted. You got no choice but to stay hyped if you want to make some of yourself. And I can absolutely attribute any of my success to that philosophy and mindset, or else I wouldn't have made it out of high school. We won 4 games in 4 years. Nobody wanted to talk to us, but we had to stay and figure out how to get it done and get our name out there and work harder than everybody else. And, you just never know when that next big sale, that next big deal, that next big opportunity is coming. You got to stay hyped. It's going to be quiet. You're going to have lulls. You're going to have down periods for days, weeks, months on end. But if you just maintain the faith, it's going to boom eventually. We certainly had that with Paragon, weeks, months, where it's like, man, it's so slow. And then boom, $1 million deal, one that back on your feet, and then one leads to another and another, and all those leads and, feelers that you put out there, they all seem to come together at the same time. So, hey man, you got to give it your best every second, every day. Cause if you won't, a million other people will.
Yeah, you got to keep grinding. That's what got me through breaking my back in junior high and 13 knee surgeries to get to college on a scholarship. So yeah, absolutely. You got to keep grinding away. Can't stop.
There it is, buddy.
Hey, Mojo, thanks a lot. And you can catch him on TMZ Sports, and go to the website right there, theparagontg.com, to find out about some of the great talent that Paragon Talent Group has. Catch AEW Collision. We see Miro and Andrade El Idolo make their return, part of the Paragon Talent Group as well. Thanks for stepping in the ring on Wrestling with Sales. Appreciate it.
My man, thanks for having me, buddy.
Absolutely. Thank you.